to the sound. What am I doing? Hey, let's talk about Linux distributions today. We're playing Diablo 4. And what you're going to see is I've increased the difficulty of each of all these 4 tunes. These are my permanent tunes, not the hardcore tunes. And they're all going to play in the hardest mode they can. It's 175% plus experience in gold. Please like, subscribe, share, unsubscribe, resubscribe. And if you want to be kind enough to donate me a cup of coffee or a monster drink, I'd appreciate it. Okay, so you're going to see 4 different characters: a spiritborn, a shaman, a necromancer, and then finally a barbarian. And why am I doing this? I'm just showing you that it's the same game, computing. It's the same game, computing. 4 different types of characters, hundreds of different type of distributions, but the effect is still the same. YouTube. Yesterday I gave you homework, and I struggled with the Windows Manager or Desktop Manager. The Windows Manager, I struggled with that. I gave you some homework to see how am I going to interface with my distribution. And now, once you know what window manager you want, then you're going to pick a distribution that supports that. I put the icons of a bunch of them on the screen. There's hundreds. You can go to a site called Distro Watch, and it tells you what's the most favorite at the moment. And I didn't get everyone. I apologize for those of you that if I missed your distribution. But the point is, as you're seeing in the video game, is that you're going to roughly have the same experience no matter what. It's what character you choose. It's what class you choose to play the game. Now, in some games, you see me play Star Wars: The Old Republic, and that each class has a different story, and each distribution has a different story. I didn't include some of them. For a long time, I was enamored with Slacks and Puppy. Linux is something I used a lot when I'd have like my crappy computers and I wanted a small distribution. Mike is fake today. But I did play all these games on Linux, on Catchy OS, but it doesn't matter. Each class is different, right? So what I'm trying to tell you about distributions is that there's differences. And they have strengths and weaknesses. But as you can see, what you're going to see in every class is it still can play the game. It just changes my experience a little bit. So I don't want to get so hung up on the distribution. The big change is I'm playing on Windows, or I'm playing on Linux, or I'm playing on a Mac. About the only thing I would say, you know, a fundamental difference in gaming is if you play it on an Xbox or PlayStation, or a PC. But really, it's if you're a joystick user or keyboard and mouse user, right? So that's a huge fundamental difference. But if you play The Division 2 on any of those platforms, the difference is the controller. Okay, so now this is the second character. So what you're seeing is that I'm setting that character up to be in whatever it's called, exceptional or whatever. So now this is my, I think that's my shaman who's a werewolf. And I love this character. And it's great and it's fun. Also, if you play Diablo 4, you realize what skill path you pick also has a lot to do with all of this. So, it's not a one-to-one match, but when you pick your distribution, you're going to do that. Now, when I first started let's say this is my second time around, I would have computers, I'd put them with Ubuntu, because what I found is I wanted to play games. There wasn't really a good gaming distro when I started trying to do this. But Ubuntu was ubiquitous. It was like the Windows of Linux. And it would just work. If I ever had a question, they always had it in Ubuntu. So you had some familiarity. You could search on the web and the answer would be for Ubuntu and then other distributions, whatever. And in one sense, there's some foundational distributions that a lot of distributions are families of, and sometimes there's, in the case of Ubuntu, it's from Debian, however you say it, and then it spawned, right? So there's kind of a lineage in that. And at the end of the day, just like in the gaming, it's that we're gaming. It's not that we're gaming on Windows or we're gaming on Linux or we're gaming on a Mac. 3 different operating systems. It's that we're gaming. And that's the thing with the Linux, is that you're getting off Windows. It's great. There's a lot of other people that give you a lot more technical reasons. But just as a basic user, you know, if you're using AI, you're using AI because you choose to. You're not getting all your data sucked and sent over wherever. And some people say Ubuntu might do that. I don't know. Or Firefox. Sometimes there's free stuff that kind of, it's murky. But you can go online and you'll see people are really adamant about when software, open source kind of stuff kind of changes. It's pretty easy to see. One caveat I'm going to tell you that I didn't realize. I initially would install a bunch of different distributions and then I'd get a new one and get rid of it and get a new one. And what happened in my boot record would be filled with these old entries for the different distributions. There's a way to clean that. Instead of doing that, I just formatted the whole hard drive over again and realized I didn't want to do that. So you're not going to see me. I have other computers I could do it with. I could learn how to edit the master boot record and do all that stuff. I just don't have time in my life to do that because that's, like, to me, unnecessary. And there's people that show you that. Like, there might be a time where I would show you specifically how to do that. So I died with that. So the one thing I'm going to also tell you is this. The first 2 characters, the Spiritborn was the first one. They ended up dying. Now, I'm going to die pretty fast here with the Necromancer, and you're going to see why. I keep playing it, though. The Shaman died. The Necromancer usually has an army. And so I'm not going to have the army right away. And, of course, you can see I'm panicking. And so sometimes you'll pick a distribution that just does, for whatever reason, it doesn't fit. And see, I died there. But I'm going to go back and play the Shaman. Now you can see I have the army. Now I'm, unkillable. Or so I think. So you're picking a distribution. You don't like it, you'll just start with a new distribution. Or you'll do a different one until you decide. But what you're eventually going to realize is, what you don't like about the distribution is really the window manager. So that's what I would spend my most time on. Now, as you get, why am I not using Ubuntu? Really, they have there's a thing called flat packs, and then there's another thing that they choose call or whatever. It's kind of a way where you can just add kind of just a program, and it's kind of separate from the distribution. It's kind of just loaded it on the side. I saw that, and then there was some other reason people didn't like Ubuntu. So I eventually got off of that because I just didn't want to have that going on all the time, like in my head, like, some people don't like it. And then there was like 3 or 4 gaming ones. And really then I just said, I have a handheld, I have a Legion Go, and I'm going to put stuff on the Legion Go. And so which one worked for that? And they had a handheld version, so I was like, I'm going to do that. The other ones might have it. but I decided to stay with that, and I've stayed with Catchy ever since. And I haven't had wandering eyes. If I wandered eye for a new window manager, I might redesign my window manager in a different way, make it look like Genome or whatever these other ones are. Or if I want a traditional, I hit a button and then I have a list of words, and then I go on the list of words. I want internet applications. I don't want that stuff anymore. You can see I'm just tearing it up here with that Necro. It's a pretty strong build. I guess what's next, oh crap, I guess it's not that strong. So those were both high levels. You know, they were the max level, and then there's like another pseudo level that they get on. And this is my Barbarian. And I thought that this was going to be the worser YouTube. So sometimes you find something and you realize it's better than you thought. It's better than what your preconceived notions were. So you did your homework yesterday. On Friday, you got a computer, and then you figured out what window manager you have, and then you download it, the ISO of that, you put it on your USB drive, and then you've loaded it, and hopefully you got the live version is when you load it from your BIOS. Hopefully you figured all that stuff out. And today's your first day. And it's going to be anticlimactic, YouTube, because it's just the operating system. It's like, oh, I can hardly wait. That's Roxy. I can hardly wait till they pave that new asphalt goes down and just smooth driving, or new concrete. Then after you drive on it once or twice, you're like, yeah, whatever. Because it's the road. It's operating system. It's communicating with the discs and all your other things. How often do you think about your nose? You never think about your nose, the breathing of it, until it's stuffy. Then that's all you can think about, right? And that was one of the reasons I got off Windows this last time, is because I was just having problems with it. For some reason, my file manager disappeared in Windows. And I would consider myself not a power user, but I'm pretty experienced. And some of it was stupid. He couldn't customize it. Because what did I want to see? I wanted to see what I'm showing up here on the Steam, like in all the games. I want to see that all the time. Now, maybe I should have done that in Steam, but my desire for certain things caused me to research other things. And I've said that in other videos. Necessity is what's going to get you to better understanding of the operating systems, better uses of Linux, and what have you. So here's my little process as you mull some of that over. My process in videos is I'll make the video on the Mac or the Linux system, and then I have a whoop-de-doo USB high transfer thing that has a USB and a USB-A. USB-C and USB-A, and I transfer that from either of the computers, and then I put it into my my iPad Pro, and then I do everything on LumaFusion. And I've told you before, that's a dirt cheap solution. My son was over for Thanksgiving. He pays subscription to some online video editing. I'm like, why would you? And really what did it was the M1. When I first got an M1, when I first saw the times for encoding on an M1 compared to PCs, it was incredible to me. So I was like, Roxy's fighting with the cats. The two other dogs, Macy and Caesar, have left. Everyone's a little bit sad and happy because they dominated the house. Now Roxy. And now everyone's back to fighting between each other. The cats are trying to reestablish their dominance. Roxy, bolstered by having the big dogs around, is a little bit stronger. Anyways, let's get back to your distribution. So you have a lot of choices. Again, there's families of the choices. I like Cachios, right? I told you when I load stuff fast, it was easy for me to put Steam, Lutris, and something else on there. It loaded all the gaming stuff. Hit one button that loaded it. I update it every single day when I get on. It's great. Maybe let's say I go one day, it's okay, but I'm focusing on updating it and controlling it and learning more things about Linux. I'm going to probably eventually give you some like basic tutorial things like that, are the basic questions, things you see a lot. And if you notice on the channel, I'm not going to bore you with a review of each distro, because I want you to look at some of those AI generated best distros, right? Or AI generated and a best of list. When there's no difference, it'll just highlight different parts of Linux, why Linux is good. It's secure. They're all Linux, they're all secure. So what's the best distribution? It's the one you like. And what makes you like something is pretty much what type of window manager it has. Okay, now you're gonna get squirted. Knock it off. Sorry, YouTube. That's the weapon of choice. Probably not. It's probably during the summer. It's not a deterrent. But in the winter, it's a deterrent. So, again, like I've told you before, the package system, how you are your app store. They call it a package manager in Linux, but your app store and how you load the apps. You can also load them a whole different way. The main thing you have to know is what branch, what tree are you in. So I'm CatchEOS, so I'm in Arc or Arch-based tree. If you're Ubuntu, it's big enough to maybe have its own tree, but it's Debian. And then there's Fedora, RHEL, whatever that is, Red Hat Enterprise, something. There's a lot of differences. At the end of the day, right, you'll once you pick something, you'll just stay with it. And here's a weird thing. I've always wanted to have Fedora. Every time I tried to install it, it never would work. So I don't know if that was because I didn't have secure boot off or whatever, but it just didn't work. That's why I'm not using Fedora, and I ended up happy with what I got. So if something says it's Fedora based, I kind of shy away from it because I've had a hard time with it, probably because of my own ignorance, right? That's just about it. And I don't really want to persuade you one way or the other. I had a unique case driven by my Legion Go. And I want to give one hot take. Legion Go is by far, I think, the best, right? Because you can detach it's not like a joystick thing. You can make it around like it's a real computer. But the Legion Go 2 is like $1,400 with the Z2 Pro X processor, which you got to have. And in the Xbox Ally X, that has that processor for like not that much money, like $999. So that's why I said that. YouTube, thanks as always for stopping by. Talk to you soon. Bye.